Hey, Mouse Planet, Alan DeLinka back with you for week 19. Hope you saw some of the pre-show today. I'm having all sorts of technical issues on this end. First, my audio wouldn't work. Hopefully you guys are hearing me now. Usually I can see people who are watching us on screen. I'm not seeing that data today, but I checked on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, and I see that we're streaming. So hi out there. If you can see and hear me, let us know in the comments. It's going to be an interesting show if we're just doing it for ourselves. But hey, it's fun at home. We're having fun at home, and I guess I'll be having fun at home with the rest of the folks in the studio here with me during the show. Let's see. News since yesterday's Walt Disney World update. We talked about the shortening park hours, but today I saw one of the Broadway publications announce, thanks to one of my friends, that Disney has reached a memorandum of understanding with Actors Equity, the entertainers union, for on-site COVID-19 testing, which was the standout point of dispute between them. And so we may, in fact, see the actors and actresses returning to the park in some new socially distanced fashion in the near future. There was also another news item today, and let me see if I've got it handy. Yes, the Disney After 4 Epcot Pass. The Disney After 4 Epcot Pass, Orlando Sentinel shared today, and you can go check out OrlandoSentinel.com or other places to read about it. It's a pass for Floridians who want to visit Epcot after 4. Well, since the park is going to be closing earlier at 7 o'clock, the Epcot After 4 pass will be good starting at 2 o'clock as of September 8th. So if you've got one of those passes, you'll get to visit in the near future. Again, I'm not seeing any data here. I'm going to bring Adrian Vincent Phoenix up on the screen in a moment here, and we'll see. Adrian, you're muted, by the way. I'm going to bring Adrian up on the screen, and welcome, Adrian.
Hey, I thought you liked us muted.
Well, only by choice, not when I need you talking. Any other news out of Disneyland before we get on with the intros and the show and whatnot?
No, the only thing really that's new here is that Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen is reopened in downtown Disney, as well as Jazz Kitchen Express. So you can come get your gumbo and beignets. And I was really glad to see them reopen. I know a lot of people really enjoy those beignets. And so having that new location or that location reopened is a benefit for Disneyland fans. And Todd Pickering was actually at downtown Disney yesterday. So when he joins us later, he can give you some impressions about what he saw down there yesterday.
So I'm sort of curious if the eagle-eyed Disneyland goer that you are noticed in the opening of the show and in the cover that I'd posted for this week's show that I had flipped the bear image in front of the Grizzly River Run, Grizzly, whatever that is, at DCA.
I didn't necessarily notice that it was flipped. It was there. What is his pumpkin in the wrong hand?
The lantern was in the wrong hand, and the raft was on the wrong side.
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't eagle-eyeing that much. I was bopping along to the theme music. That's my excuse.
Well, the theme music, that's great, because the theme music, totally composed by me.
Oh.
I'm not making that one up. As is the new graphic. Let's see if the graphics will cooperate today. Now, we've had this old graphic, which was kind of ratty for a while, but I've used it and liked it. But I got a new one. It's a little bit more sleek.
Ooh.
Still the same effect.
Well, when I do our Mouse Planet face masks, I'll use your new graphic.
Cool. Well, I got that because you sent me a better Mouse Planet logo than I've had.
Okay.
So
blame me.
It all is circular. Let's see. We're also later in the show going to try a new game show, and the new game show is based loosely on the 70s match game, and I'm calling it, because we're not going to call it match game, I'm calling it Mouse Planet Live Jibe Time. Got it? It goes like this. Ready?
Okay.
Oh, that's the wrong button.
Oh, good.
It goes like this.
Okay, I'm impressed.
Right. So that's a game of fill in the blanks. Now, I hope folks are out there. I hope they're commenting. I'm not seeing them. And while you're talking to our first guest, I may leave the studio and come back and see if that resets things for me. And hopefully,
bye.
Hopefully it doesn't end the show, right?
That's what I was wondering.
It shouldn't end the show. But
okay.
We will find out, won't we? After these messages from Adrian. No, let's Adrian, why don't we have you bring on our first guest? And once you brought on our first guest, I will go in the background and see if I can make sure everything's working correctly.
Okay, well, yeah, because don't forget you're playing with the pictures today.
I am. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. So I am really glad to have on another Disney artist. And when Alan and I talk about who are we going to bring on, he always wants to bring on entertainment people, and I always want to bring on artists. So that's why we kind of have been flipping back and forth each week. So this week I've got Dave Avanzino, who should be known to fans on both Disneyland and Walt Disney World for his amazing sculptures. And they're dimensional, they're paper art, they're not. I'm going to let him explain what his process is, because I can call it a lot of things, but I'm not the artist, and so I don't want to misrepresent it. So Dave Avanzino, thank you for joining us today from your beautiful studio in Southern California.
Actually, before you bring Dave on, I'm going to do one real quick thing to make sure we don't lose connection here. I'm going to bring myself on another screen. Watch this. Let's see if that happens.
Alan.
Yeah, two of me. And we should see two of me in a moment, right? There we are. So now I'm echoing something awful, but I'm going to take myself off the screen, and now I'll bring Dave on and take myself off. So on with the show, and we will see you all in a bit.
Okay, hi Dave. Are you in?
No.
We've lost Dave.
Nope, there I am.
Hey Dave.
Hi.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Okay. So, oh wait, I see something in the background you're gonna have to talk about later. So hello. It is really good to see you. It feels like it's been a long time since you and I have seen each other at the parks.
Yeah. I haven't been at Disneyland this year.
Wow.
The last time I was there was December, and
Okay.
it was at Off the Page. It wasn't
Right.
at Disneyana. And then I was at the Epcot Art Festival mid-January, and that was the last event I had. I came home from that and was preparing for a week-long food and wine festival event, which would have been the first time I ever did a full week at Disneyland. I was very excited. And then, things changed, and I have not been back there yet. So looking forward to it one of these days.
Yes, when the world gets back to normal and we can have fun things again.
Yes, we can have nice things again.
So, Dave, for people who aren't familiar with you, I was going to ask Alan to just kind of throw up just a couple of pictures so people can say, oh, yeah, wait, I've seen those before. I know what that's about. So, Alan, if you can share some of Dave's artwork, or, I don't want people to have to squint and look in his background of all of the cool stuff he's got back there.
Well, most of what I sent is not as, here's kind of my Disney art. So this is, I have been doing art for the Disney theme parks for over 20 years, which kind of blew me away when I realized, I think I kind of started the end of the 90s, kind of doing little things. And kind of the first event art I did was around 1999, 2000. And then that kind of morphed into things I just did and sold in the parks all the time. Where they used to buy these pieces from me and then sell them in like Disneyana. Now it's changed to where I'm primarily a consignment artist. So my stuff doesn't live in the parks unless it's a piece they mass produce, like the Disneyland letter plaque. But this kind of work, I sort of bring in an art show with me for a weekend. I typically have 4 weekends a year scheduled at Disneyland. And then sometimes there's other things like food and wine that I might get another extra weekend out of. And then I've been doing the Epcot Art Festival for at least a week. I did 10 days this year. I'm possibly might do the whole thing next year on all 6 weeks. I don't know. So, so I kind of am more like I bring in my own art show and then it all leaves with me. So that's the limitation I have is I can't sell directly to people. I have to be in the parks where they ring up the sales.
Well, I think you're a traveling art show. I think that's actually a really good way of explaining it, that you're a traveling art show.
And, I kind of describe my work. I have a hard time describing my work. It's not really paper sculpture. I kind of call it mixed media. Some are more paper sculpture than others. Obviously, that was not a paper sculpture. That was me. This is kind of a typical piece where this was one that was going to release at the Food and Wine Festival. I had done almost identical. It was pretty much an identical piece that I called Mickey Around the World East. That was the same art. Mickey was flipped the other direction, and the images around the circle were Epcot, the Epcot Pavilion. So So for this guy, let's go. So for this guy, I just basically kind of took the same art. Oh, there's some weird thread on there. Flipped it around, and then all the little pavilions are Disneyland icons. So this one was going to come out in April when I was going to be at Food and Wine at DCA, but it'll be out eventually. So
That's a really beautiful piece.
thank you. They're kind of fun. I was looking at it when I was at. I think somebody maybe even given me the idea. They were like, "Oh, do you have one of those for the West Coast?" And I thought, no, but I
could. When I first met you, you were doing, it was when they had first released the attraction or the land collection, the land letter plaques. And I have the entire collection of them.
Nice.
Unfortunately, we haven't put them out in the new house. We moved 2 years ago. We're still unpacking. You know how that goes.
That's an undertaking. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. But we do have the full collection of those. And from there, I started just really collecting your pieces. We have probably a dozen total, but we've tended towards the smaller pieces. I don't have any of, your beautiful $600 and $700 pieces, not that I don't covet them, but we've tended towards a lot of the smaller pieces. And I have really loved your personalized letter collection that you've done. When you first showed those, I was like, I have to have. So I just shared my screen, Ellen, if you want to put that up. So this is one of the ones that you did, which is the ticket book that you did that's personalized. And so
that's a printed piece. They're actually printed on wood. And people get to kind of design it. You can have up to, I think I go up to a dozen letters. And you get to pick the ticket colors you want. And then I also have a version of this with the Magic Kingdom cover for when I'm at Disney World. So yeah, those are very fun. I'd started with, I also make a handmade paper ticket book. That's what I started with. Kind of, it's about actual size, and they're framed. And then the company that I work with that makes a lot of my, I do some wood prints, like framed wood. They're hard to describe. Kind of like instead of a framed canvas, they're sort of printed on wood.
Right.
And that company, I just thought, oh, what if we did these bigger as more of like a wall hanging like you have it? And they've done really, really well. So they're very fun to do. So.
Well, I imagine for me, when it was neat was when you were there and you had all of the letter samples. Yeah, and we were able to kind of layer them and figure out what colors we wanted and put all of that together. That was really cool. Another one that we have from you was when you were doing your when you started doing the custom letters, and I'll put that one up. And this was another one of those that was personalized. And we actually have several of these. We got them we got them for ourselves. And, the funny thing is that every time I look at that and think, we really should have switched the names for spacing purposes. But I second guess mine.
Ending with the Mickey hat. I think that's a good.
I think that was what you and I had talked about too. Was ending it with the Mickey hat.
Yeah.
But we have that. We've
more
done
prominence on the end than it would have right in the middle next to an ampersand. So
yeah. And my husband had a lot of fun picking that out. He got to do the Tomorrowland lettering. I mean, he got to pick out, because you have a lot of different options for every letter. I mean, some of them.
There's at least 6 and up to 9.
Yeah. So that was the cool thing of going through and being able to pick out the ones that were not just the letters, but the specific letter, the Matterhorn, and doing that.
It's funny because people will say to me, well, what would you pick here? And I always say, it doesn't matter what I would pick. It matters what you pick, because these are supposed to be things that are meaningful to you. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. I mean, I would pick something that I think looks good, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Pandora bracelet, every little thing is supposed to have a story.
Yeah.
We have this one at our house, and you were kind of surprised to see it. The Disney Cruise Line one. I think that's centered up there. Yeah. And this is from 2011. And what's nifty about this is if you turn it around, the shadow box here, it's got the letter key for what all of the letters, what the individual letters actually represent. So
those were $175
back in the day.
Yeah, they sold those for a while. They had some production problems, and
I have one of the production problems.
The little mat. It's funny. I was just telling somebody that story the other day. It's like I open it up and there's like 4 drops of hot glue supposedly holding that mat up. So if you ever want to, if you can get it to me, I can make that right. So,
but what I was hoping to do was being able to show, and it's really hard on this here, but show the dimensionality of the pieces.
I was very proud of the slide. That was like my biggest challenge, sculpting wise. So I was very, very proud of the slide. When
I don't know. It's kind of hard to show that, but I mean, these are not flat letters.
Yeah,
these are actual dimensional sculpted letters. And that's, I mean, honestly, for $200, that's to me was a steal.
And we got what was nice. You mentioned the land pieces. Those came out for the 50th.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been, what was that? So that would have been 2005. Was that the 50th? Yeah. So I had been doing work for, several years. And as you said, my handmade stuff is $600 to $900 each. So I always had a lot of people that are like, oh, I love your work. I can't afford it.
Yes.
Which I totally get. I totally understand that. So what was so great when those pieces came out was they were like the land pieces were $75 at the time they came out. And it was so great because all of a sudden there was a piece that anybody could have, not anybody, but most everybody could get. And it was really neat. It was like, I loved hearing the story of like, oh, I've always wanted one of these. And then what's really nice is I've had a couple people over the years say, well, I bought all of those and now I want one that you made, so it's kind of like you sort of build that collector, you know, by having, and then, as it went along, I was able to even get a $40 print and, some different price points. Whereas the beginning I had one price point and it was all up here. Whereas now over the years, as I have done more of these shows, I've got a much bigger price point. I even have like this one that I was showing. This is part of a line that I kind of developed where these are under $400. So I think they're $375. So they're still handmade by me. Now, I will say I have this piece laser cut because I'm not that good or that crazy. But I hand paint them all. But I wanted to come up with kind of a handmade piece, but that was under $400. So I have a few different ones. I have a Mary Poppins Penguins one. I had a Mickey one that I started with, and primarily I developed these for the Epcot Art Festival, but then I also would sell them at Disneyland. So the first Mickey one I ever did, and that is all gone. I had made 50 of those. They sold out. I have a Figment one that I pretty much only sell at Disney World. And then the Disney World version of this is one of those, and then this will be a Disneyland version. So, I'm trying to come up with those different price points for different levels of collectors because there's all kinds.
Well, and I think that's important, and I was glad to see that. When that collection came out, the Lance collection came out, because that was me. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I can actually get one of these. And so that was kind of, for a couple of years, it was, we got the Lance, we got the Main Street, we got the Disneyland one, we, went through that and we started collecting them. And I can't remember which one sold out first. And it was like, I got that one before they were completely sold out. I know there's a couple that have gone, of the lands that weren't available any longer. But then you started doing some holiday editions. You started doing
just for Disneyland. We just did a Christmas one and a Halloween one, and those were only made once and they're gone. And people, and then the land pieces, when the 60th anniversary came around, and they were talking to me about what I might want to do for the 60th. One of the things I said was, you really should re-release this, because I get people asking me all the time for them. And so they did. So they same pieces came out. I kept them all same size, same frame, because I knew there would be people that would be completing a collection they had started 10 years earlier, and I didn't want them to be really different. The only difference was we added a little diamond to each one for the diamond anniversary, but it was pretty subtle. And then the back stamp said the 60th, but other than that, they were identical. So now I got to tell people, because I get emails about it all the time. Like, how do I get Fantasyland? And I was like, well, I don't think they'll print them again. I think twice was once more than I would have ever thought. So, I said, now you're kind of relegated to eBay, which is, there's actually an Adventureland one in the Von Eaton Gallery auction that's going on, I think this week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so there's an Adventureland one. It says, estimated at $750. So I'm going to be curious to see what that goes for.
Every time the Van Eaton Gallery puts up one of those things, I kind of look around my house and go, got that.
Yeah.
Got one of those. Like I've mentally start tallying up what my
Yeah.
collection is worth at home because I have quite a few.
Well, it's nice
of
to know
those
you, but
things.
see, you look at it, you realize I have some investment, you know?
Well, yes, the Beanie Babies. You know, we'll
Yeah.
see how long Van Eaton can continue to do auctions like this. But getting off track, Dave, how did you start? I mean, you have. I know a little bit, but I actually don't know your full story. How did you start as an artist?
Well, I had done art always as a kid. I mean, my brother and I are both artists, and my mom realized we'd sit there for 2 hours with Legos or crayons, and I think just said, go for it, without any intent other than it just kept us busy. So I always did art, but I was more of a fabricator. My brother's an animator, and he was more of somebody that drew characters, drew Spider-Man, and I kind of like saw a knickknack in a store and came home and made it. So I was much more 3D. And then kind of middle school, high school was in music and kind of left art on the back burner, but then went to college to study music. And 2 years in, I realized it wasn't for me and wound up getting a job at a small ad agency and liked it and changed my major and graduated with a degree in art. So, and I'm one of the proud minority of people with art degrees that actually use them. So I'm very proud of that. Statistically, I think I'm pretty rare.
And Dave, you shared with us some photos that I'll put up on the screen now of some scenic work. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so I had done musical theater. That's kind of how I got into music in kind of middle school, and just did it because some friends of mine were doing it, and it turned out it was the perfect place for me as a young male child. I always said it was the place where running around and being obnoxious was rewarded instead of scolded, which is more likely the case. So I always loved musical theater, and always loved the sets. And so at the church I was at down here in Fullerton, they did musicals and they did big shows. And so I just kind of learned how to make sets on a shoestring budget and just sort of self-taught, and I researched things. And so had done community theater, had done a lot of children's theater with people that I knew that directed children's theater. So some of the ones you just saw, like Little Mermaid and Tarzan and Mary Poppins, were for a local youth adult theater, very, very kind of civic light opera level, great shows. And so I did the sets and was in a couple. I was Professor Porter in Tarzan, and then I was Chef Louie in Little Mermaid. So got to. I always said I used to be in front of the curtain, and now I'm mostly behind it. But you kind of miss being in front. So it was fun that was a role. I went and watched a production of The Little Mermaid to kind of see how they did the sets. Like, how did they solve all these issues and make all these things? And that guy came out and did it, and I was just like, oh, I got to do that. So it was very fun. I had a great time doing that. But I said that may be my last time on stage. I don't know, but it was fun.
I don't know. I really enjoyed with especially the Little Mermaid production, sorry, I can't speak now, is that you not only did set design on it, but that you were in it. So
yeah,
and I
which
thought
was
you
hard.
were. Too,
I mean, fortunately in that show I was only in 2 numbers. It was harder in Tarzan because that character was in it the whole time. So as the tech week was going on, and I'm installing the set, and they're rehearsing, and I'm running back and forth and trying on costumes, and yeah, that was a little more challenging to be in. The Little Mermaid, it's like he's in 2 numbers right in a row, and then he comes out at the end. So it was a lot easier tech week.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now you started out doing Disneyland. You started then going to Walt Disney World, and I actually saw you at Disney World one time, and you were handing out some little handmade paper things that you'd done, which was so much fun. Every time I see you, you are surrounded by your collectors, and you seem to have such a great collector base. And I know you just have so many people that really seem to just enjoy you and enjoy your work. And I wonder, when you are out at these events, what's that like for you? Is it just old home week, or what is it like for you when you're kind of sitting there going, okay, come on, people, come buy something?
I thoroughly enjoy talking to people, to a fault. I mean, sometimes I have a lot of people that will say, oh, I saw you at your event, but I didn't come over and say hi because you were talking to somebody. And I always tell them I'm always talking to somebody.
Yes.
So please interrupt me. It's very rare that I'll be talking to the cast member who's helping me out if there's no guest. But
Mhm.
I just really enjoy the guests. And you get, just, I would say I've been an artist for 30 something years. And I always say I've done the starving artist thing. And it seems like that's, seems to have gone away for the most part, except for now. But, into the fairly well-paid artist phase of life. But I say the thing that has always been the best and will always be best is when you get to make something that somebody wants in their house, and that means something to them. And one of the greatest parts of any event I do is somebody will come over and just say, I just wanted to come by and tell you that I have this piece of yours and it's my favorite thing. Like, or just tell me how much that piece means to them, or say I met you once and, just want to tell you hi. And, it's like, what a gift. I never get tired of that. So just I would say, like, people say, isn't it hard to let your art go? And I'm like, oh no, because for the most part, somebody else is going to love it more than I do. Like,
Yeah.
and if I really love something, I will make me one. And there's very few things. I mean, I like my art. There's very few I have. I mean, I think I have like 7 or 8 in my office. That's it. But I know most of the time the person buying it is going to love it on a level that I don't. So, and I love that. And I would say, so it's like your kid's going out, and every now and then I get to hear a story about my kid, where somebody comes up and says, this person came over and they saw that, and it made them cry for some reason because some memory, just like these amazing stories that you just, or people tell me they were going through something like a medical thing, and what my art meant to them during that season.
That's
You're
really
like,
sweet.
who gets that? I mean, thing I would have never in my life imagined as I make something that it would touch somebody on that level is just, it's a real gift. And so I thoroughly value all that time I get to spend with people. I miss it. I mean, I really miss it right now. I'm really looking forward to getting back.
And we were talking earlier, and I was hoping for you, and I know Disney said that for a while they don't want to do new product releases because they don't want to draw crowds to the shopping areas.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping for you that there's an opportunity for you to do, I don't know, they've got that artist in residence program with the Wonderland Gallery, or have them do a pop-up shop for you, or even a virtual shop where people can order from you. And
that would be amazing.
I would love that for you. Wanted to touch base real quickly. You have done a lot for charity, and thanks, Alan. You have done a lot of work for charity, and one of the things many, many moons ago on MousePlanet, we did something called the Rocks for Chalk event, and we had put together this fundraiser, and it was tied in with the D23 Expo, where we had people. We had a bunch of Disney artists, Disney affiliated artists, create a grouping of rocks for us. And this is the one that you created, which you called Rockin' the Tiki. And we sold these at auction through the eBay charity program. And let me show the back of that one because it was really cool. And I think this one is so much fun.
Those were fun to do.
Well, and I'll see if Alan can show the whole grouping of them, because there were so
that was
many
amazing stuff
that we did. But it was amazing to me that when we made the ask of, hey, trying to get all of this group of artists together, would you guys be willing to do this? How readily you said yes, and how much time and effort you put into making that amazing. And Alan, there's the whole collection of them there. And, just how much time and effort you put into that rock. It's so incredibly detailed. So I wanted to thank you for that. And I know behind
Adrian, you can zoom in on it and show more of the detail if you pinch zoom.
You're right, I can.
Hit Command Shift Plus or something.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. So I see. I saw Shag, and I think Kevin and Jody.
Yeah. So this one is Chip Foos. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
This was Stacia Martin. This was Kevin and Jody. This was Joe Iacovetta.
Oh, right.
Shag.
Shag. Obviously.
I'm going to feel horrible because I cannot remember who did these last two. Oh, now I feel really, really bad. I cannot remember who did those last two rocks. I've got Charles Landholm and Katie Kelly.
Oh, yeah. Katie Kelly, I would guess, is the balloon.
The cat, I think.
Oh, the cat. Well,
Oh, you think she did the? I can't recall.
I don't know.
And then there was another one that was done by Jeff Granito, and he did this one for us. And I actually ended up buying that one. It never made it to the postcard. It never made it to the auction because he put a copyright character on it.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
we did not want to get him in trouble. With the mouse. So we ended up, what we agreed to is that we would average the price that all of the rocks sold for.
Oh, nice.
And we bought that one. So my husband and I have that one in our collection. I just didn't want, I wanted the money to go to Chalk, but I also didn't want to get him in trouble. So that was how we ended up dealing with that.
I just noticed in your grouping here, you put Joe Yakovetics upside down.
Oh my heck, you're right, I did. Oh my heck.
I was looking at it going, oh, wait. Oh, north.
Well, yeah. I wanted to show off your Instagram page, Dave, which is, I think, probably one of the best ways to see a whole bunch of your work just by scrolling through, including an ad for tonight's show, which we appreciate.
That first one was a little video. I tried to throw little videos up there where I'm been doing these custom pirate maps. So,
and of course, the beauty
I wanted to segue into
from Walt.
The beauty is, that Instagram is the infinite scroll.
Yes.
And also, if folks go to your profile on Instagram, they can get to the web page that we were showing off, which hopefully will load here. No, it didn't load when I clicked it. Of course, because technology tonight is not cooperating.
So, Adrian, that's my description, is all around Art MacGyver. That's how I refer to myself, because everything I've ever done is somebody saying, "Can you make this?" And I say yes. And then I figure out how to make it.
That's not a bad way to be.
No.
That's a good way to be a maker.
I've had some failures, but I've had more successes than failures. So and you learn something from the failures, so it's not a total loss.
Jumping from the Tiki Rock, now you have leveraged that in this non-Disney period to doing a ton of Tiki work, and I was blown away by some of this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had done a couple years ago. I said I love Disney. It's a big basket that most of my eggs are in, and you every now and then you're kind of like, I need some more baskets. So a couple of years ago, I'd been wanting to do Tiki stuff, and just finally signed up to do a show, which sort of forced me to make things. So I did that, and then you kind of learned, okay, this did well, this didn't do well. I did a second show, and so. Once this period hit, I never stopped working. I just shoved the Disney stuff aside and just thought, I'm going to make Tiki stuff. I didn't have a website prior to that because I had only used Facebook and Instagram. And I thought, all right, let's sign up, get a website, get an online store. And it's done really well. And I describe it as I've just been throwing Tiki spaghetti at the wall and seeing what stuck. And, some of the more handmade paper Tikis stuck. And then, I think they were showing, I kind of had this, or somebody gave me actually this idea for kind of doing these custom pirate maps for people. And this stuck really well on the wall. Where I'm still working through the orders that I took from the first time I offered it. So I haven't even offered it a second time because I'm still working my way through. So this is a paper one. I didn't put glass in. There will be glass, but so there was no glare. But these are paper ones that I illustrate, and these are all words that mean something to the guests. I have a little order form, and they fill those out and, show me what they like. And then, so that's a paper one. And then there's a really big one. I also do them just like this. This is just on wood. So I have these
stunning.
Yeah. So these are laser cut, and then I hand paint them, and then they'll have some hanging hardware on the back. So these are designed you could hang this outside.
Sure.
Not in the rain, but if you had an outdoor Tiki bar, you could hang these up because they're waterproof. So
are they sublimated on wood?
It's all hand painted on top of the wood.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
Those, like I said, those have done really well.
We had a question earlier whether you.
Oh, sorry.
We had a question earlier whether you do pet commissions.
I don't, because I always tell people I don't draw very well, and they don't get it because I make all this. But like that's not the end product. I don't typically draw. But look up Joe Yakovetic because he is doing pet portraits. So you can Yakovetic. Yeah, Joe Yakovetic, another artist for Disney, and he is doing pet portraits. So look him up.
Well, Dave,
I'll show you. I was going to show you one other tiki thing. This was a little hat that I made when I was going to do that week-long event at Food and Wine. I was going to release a new hat every day. So these were just going to be one-of-a-kind pieces that would, just when they're gone, first come, first serve. So this was the only one I got around to making before I had to realize, okay, stop working on that stuff and do something else. But it kind of fell in that same tiki theme. So I thought I'd share that one with you.
Okay, cannot wait to see that show up. Dave, thank you so much for joining us. It's
my pleasure.
I love hearing about your art and your process. And, you and I have known each other for a while, and it's been kind of fun to see your line evolve, and love seeing you go into the tiki stuff. And I'll bet that's going to be huge for you. So thanks. And then
your website is just your name. It's
Dave Avanzino Designs with an S.
Very good.
.com. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Dave. You're welcome to stick around in the green room.
I will hang out there. If anybody has any questions, shoot me a question and I'll answer it.
Very good. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye, Dave. Thank you.
All right. So with that, I've got Matt in the green room. I think I'm going to bring Matt on. We already covered the Disneyland stuff, and I will bring you back afterwards for our chat.
Alrighty.
All right. So goodbye, Adrian. Let me go to our next guest, who is principally responsible for this graphic. And unfortunately, I didn't have time to resize it because he only sent me a little while ago, but I can block us both out with it. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
So, Matt, thanks so much for joining. We've previously had Banks on, but Banks has since fled you.
Yeah.
For the greener pastures of Legoland. Of course, those are just plastic, but hey, that's Lego for you. So, Matt, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll talk a little bit about the history of attractions and your ties to the Disney parks, which of course is where I've met you.
Yeah. Name's Matt Roseboom, editor and publisher of Attractions Magazine, which you may or may not have seen. There's a couple of issues here. But we do a quarterly magazine all about all the theme parks, mostly Disney, but also Universal, SeaWorld, a little bit of Six Flags, and the Knott's Berry Farm, those sorts of things. And we also have a website, YouTube channel, everything else that goes along with covering theme parks. So,
and you're still doing print, right?
Yeah, we still do print. Hanging on there. We have.
And is there also a digital version?
Yeah, we do. When you subscribe to the print, you get a digital version with it. We also have an app where you can get the digital version by itself.
So you and I are pretty close in age, as we've talked about before. When's the first time you visited a Disney park? How far back do your ties go?
I don't remember exactly, but I would say I was probably 6 to 8 years old and went with my grandparents. I grew up in Ohio, so we made the trip down to Florida. My grandparents and my parents both had houses down in the Southwest Florida. So that isn't really where I fell in love with it. I moved down after college to Marco Island, Florida, and about I'd say two or three times a year we'd come up to Orlando and visit the theme parks, and that's really when I really fell in love with it. And then when I got a chance to move up here, that's when I moved up and started Attractions.
And what year did Attractions come into being?
It was 2000, let's see, 7, I believe. Yeah, 2007.
And the highlights for you of visiting Disney parks are what? What is it that draws you to Disney parks? Because that's the focus here on Mouse Planet. We only occasionally talk about the others.
I mean, Disney is the creme de la creme of theme parks. That's where everybody tries to model themselves after. It's just you feel safe there. You feel it's fun. I just enjoy walking around the parks and not even riding any rides sometimes. Just my wife and I will just walk around the evenings and just see what's new and enjoy having a nice area to stroll and not have to worry about anything.
Have you been back to the parks? I think I've seen posts by you, but it's kind of hard to keep track. Have you been back to the Disney parks since they reopened?
Yeah, we've now been back to each of them once since they reopened. We went to Animal Kingdom actually earlier today. So it's nice getting back in there. It's, of course, things are a little bit different, but it's still fun to walk around. We walked around Animal Kingdom Day, didn't ride any rides. Of course, now there's a little bit more worry when you ride rides. Is the line long, or are people social distancing? But it's still fun to get into the park.
What's your experience been so far? You said you visited all four. Is it you're experiencing, like many have reported on social media, that people are social distancing and folks are generally wearing their masks, or are you seeing anything else?
Yeah, it's been pretty good, and I think it's only gotten better as time's gone on. You occasionally will see somebody with their mask under their nose or something, or I don't think I saw anybody with it completely off today, except maybe in the parking lot. And of course, the parks are big enough and they're not that crowded, so you can avoid those people who just walk around them. And for the most part, they're also social distancing and staying back. So yeah, I haven't had any trouble with it. It's been nice.
For folks thinking to go, and I don't know if you've heard me say it before, but our regular viewers have certainly heard it. I've chosen not to go, both just out of general principle of health concern, and the idea. I've been out wearing a mask, certainly when I've been to public places, but so far I can count the number of times I've been to public places on one hand or three fingers. The question is, what was your experience in terms of wearing a mask, and how should folks look at doing that for the day? I mean, one of the pieces of advice I've heard so far is make sure you bring spares. And our heat and humidity is what's sort of keeping me from going on a super hot day, because frankly, at this time of the year, I generally don't go to the parks during the day, and the daytime is really the only time you can go right now. What are you telling folks that are asking you about your experiences?
Yeah, it's the same with us. We will go because we live local. We'll go for just a couple hours. We'll do like one, maybe two laps around the park and leave. So I mean, advice if you're going to go is bring spare masks to change out, take some breaks in the break areas to take your mask off or sit down and have a drink, and take your mask off for a minute or two. But like you said, if you're not local, I don't really recommend going right now, because you're going to spend a lot of money in a hotel, a lot of money in the parks, and the tickets aren't really any cheaper right now. So why not wait until hopefully next year when you can have the full experience, rather than going now when some attractions may not be open. You have to experience things differently. Plus you have to put up with the mask. But if you're local, I don't see any problem with it. It's all your comfort level, of course. I feel safe when I go and I have my mask on, and like I said, it's wide enough aisles that I can avoid people. I don't get in lines for rides unless I know they're walk on. And that's, other friends of mine have different levels of safety, and they'll go wait in line for half hour for rides. But so it all just depends on how you feel about it.
Have you spent any time visiting any of the resorts or any of the restaurants outside of the parks?
Yeah, when the parks actually, it was right before the parks opens, we went and stayed at Old Key West for one night, and it was nice. It was hardly anybody there. I think the building group we were in, I think we were the only ones in the whole building. But everybody had their masks on, and the restaurants you're spread out. So when you do have to take your mask off, of course, to eat, you're not next to somebody. So it's been nice that way. And then we also went one night and had dinner on our anniversary, my wife and I, to what's the restaurant where you get the bread service at Animal Kingdom? I forgot the name of it.
The bread service at Animal Kingdom. You're not talking about Sanaa, right? You're talking about Jiko?
No, the one that's at the Animal Kingdom, not the Jumbo House, the other one.
At Kidani Village?
Yeah.
No, I couldn't help you with
Anyway,
that. I stayed at Kidani once, but I haven't eaten there.
If you go, get the bread service. It's awesome.
All right.
But we ate there, and it was the same way. The tables are spread out. The people serving you have their masks on, the cast members. So it's been okay. Our rule is we don't eat indoors at restaurants. We only eat at restaurants where we can sit outside. That's our personal rule. We broke it that night for our anniversary. But the if we do feel like going inside, we look for restaurants that have high ceilings, where we're not just the air isn't just like circulating in one small area.
Right. Normally for our viewers, and the reason I'm leaning in is I'm not wearing my contacts today, and it actually makes it easier to see things. The normal time that you and I encounter each other at the various media events, and we had quite a few in the 9 to 12 months leading up to the closure. What are some of your favorite memories from that? And actually, I see another member of our social media gang has joined along. I'm gonna add him in. We got Mr. Big Fat Panda, John Sakari here.
Hello.
Hey, Matt.
I was gonna say, what panda stories can you no, Matt? what sort of experience did you find over that last year to be sort of a highlight of the media go round from the last year? And I'll ask John the same thing. Go ahead, Matt.
I can't even think right now, because it's been so long, and it's so weird not going to these media events. It's like what I'll think of something, I'll be like, wait, was that last year? Was that 2 years ago? So I let John go first. I mean, whatever he says is probably what I'm going to.
I've been really impressed with what they do with the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular area.
Oh yes.
Right, where they make it a meal and a thing, and I don't know, that was kind of, I remember that.
Oh, you mean when they're whining and dining the press?
Yeah. Well, like the whole Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
And here I was trying to get you to talk about something you experienced that people who are watching could experience.
I thought you meant
unless they
media
join
events.
our ranks, I do mean the media event, in the sense that, I think for me, the highlight still has to be that Rise of the Resistance lived up to expectations, right? We heard all the hype that it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then it was. I mean, and more. It was more than I imagined it to be.
I think the surprise for me is that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway lived up to expectations, because we didn't hear too much about it as it was coming, and I thought, all right, maybe they're not so thrilled about it, but I love it. I'm like more excited about that sometimes than Rise of the Resistance, I gotta say.
Well, it's probably easier. Well, before the parks closed, it was still easier to get on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway than it was on Rise of the Resistance. Now, I don't know what Matt, did you have any luck getting a boarding group when you went to studios? Because I think, Panda, you've been to studios and have been on since the reopening,
yeah,
right?
They skipped all the pre-shows, even though that wasn't their they weren't supposed to, meaning they had planned to show the pre-show. So I got it without the pre-shows, but I still at least got on the ride. I like it much better with the pre-shows. It's a better build-up.
Matt,
did you get on it?
We went after the first round had been given out. And then we left before the second round, but I was still able to get it from my house. And I thought, well, I'm going to go back tonight when it gets called. So I got one at 2:00 when they gave them out.
Wait. I got to stop you. When it gets cold?
Yeah.
Where are you located, Matt?
I didn't say cold, did I? I didn't.
Yeah, you said cold. I can't let you get away with that. My Chicago friends tell me about their wonderful nights in the 60s. And I'm like, yeah, that is one of the big downsides of living here.
I didn't mean that.
All right. Fair enough. Go ahead.
But so we went home, I guess, because when it got too hot. And then I got one at 2:00, and I was going to go back when it got called later, not cold. And I ended up not going back. My alert never came up to tell me that it was time, for my ride. And by the time I checked it, it was like, you missed your ride. So.
So you didn't get to ride Rise of the Resistance this most recent time.
No. I've rode it a bunch of times before that, but not that time.
Did you see that lightning bolt the other night that put it out of commission for a night?
Oh, did it actually put the attraction out of commission?
For one day, a piece of equipment went that controlled a few different rides. But what's weird is that it hit the rod the way it was intended. But that bolt was so strong, and no matter how much it got dispersed, it did fry a piece of equipment.
Well, and the frightening thing about that video, which a lot of people circulated on Twitter, and I actually saw it this afternoon again when I pulled up the AccuWeather app on my Apple TV. The fascinating thing to me about it is there is a message there to guests, especially when the parks are more crowded in the future. It's like when there is a thunderstorm, when there is electrical activity in the vicinity of Disney World, there is no dome that protects you. That lightning can strike. And yes, the lightning rods are there to try to draw it away and make it a safe strike. But it's pretty frightening and scary to be close to lightning. And I mean, I've told the story before. We had Don Lampkin on a few weeks ago, and Don was the longtime host of Lights, Motors, Action. And Lights Motors Action to this day holds my personal record as the scariest attraction I ever visited. And the reason it was the scariest was they emergency stopped the show because of lightning in the vicinity. And there was lightning coming closer and closer. And if you remember, the bleachers at Lights Motors Action are all metal, right? Now, there is an overhang over you, but we're in these metal bleachers, and they're telling us to stay in place as an electrical storm is coming closer and closer. And that fright or flight function of my brain is going, got to get the heck out of here now. And fortunately, they did evacuate us.
The roof, you all get a little shock.
Yeah, that could have been interesting. So again, the message to folks out there is when there's lightning in the vicinity, it is in fact time to take cover. It's not time to jump in the puddles. It's not time to go video record out in the open. I mean, sure, people get those beautiful shots of the castle with the lightning behind it, but there's a risk factor there that I think may even exceed the risk factor right now of contracting COVID-19, because I think your odds of getting struck by lightning in Central Florida are pretty much better than anywhere else in the world.
I think you're right.
Yep.
So, Matt, what else do you have on the horizon? What else can we expect from attractions coming up? And then I'm going to bring the game on for our new game show, which you guys are both welcome to play. And that's in fact why I invited Panda.
Well, Match Game is one of my favorite shows, so I'll probably stick around for this. We're working on our next issue. We're going to have hopefully a beautiful picture of the new castle with its new paint job on the cover. And then we're working on a story on what the parks are doing for COVID. What else we got in there? We got there's a Hidden Magic of Disney book out that we have some excerpts from that book, some really fun stuff there. And that issue will probably come out next month. We're working on that now.
Well, cool. And since you gave me a graphic, I can just Mike Wazowski you with the graphic.
There we go.
That's where folks can find you. And is it attractions.com or attractionsmagazine.com?
Attractionsmagazine.com, and you can find us on all the social medias as well under usually Attractions Magazine or just Attractions.
Great. Matt, thanks for joining. I'm going to put you in the green room, but I'm going to bring you back for the game in a moment. Panda, the same. Oops, that's me. Where's Panda? Here's Panda. Panda, the same goes for you. Stick around. I'll bring you back on in a moment. I'm going to bring Adrian back on. I'm going to bring Todd on. That'd be Todd, our California star. Todd, this one. There he is. Look at that. He's not.
That was like the Match Game opening.
Actually, he's well. That's wait. No, that's the Match Game opening. No. You'll have your opportunity for that. But we've got a video for when Todd's the California star. Let me get that video going here.
Adrian's face of fear. Oh, see, it's gone for good. I deleted it, Adrian.
That's I don't understand.
Yeah.
The good news is I got something else ready because I knew these guys were going to tamper with my videos this week. So I got something new. Here's a new one for our California star.
Walt Disney said, "I only hope we never lose sight of one thing. It was all started by a mouse." Ah, that's a little creepy, don't you think? Ugh. Hot dogs! Hot dogs! Oh, God! You kind of got dark there. I will see you next week in Hollywood. That's not right. I mean, come on, Hollywood. We've talked about this. Whoa.
What's up with that?
The heck was that?
That was cute. That was my don't you read MousePlanet? That was my Walk of Fame on the Disney stars. And that was the outfit I wore at D23. Alan?
Yes, I recognize it. It's your homage to Mickey. And of course, Todd's California star this week is brought to you by his Walk of Fame, which features
California Todd Pickering.
Oh, come on, California stars.
Oh, it's already written there.
Yeah,
See, I still don't have it down. I need a director.
And we're going to play this version of Match Game, which I told you for legal reasons I'm. Match Game Live jibe time.
Cool. I think the Match Game people are no longer around. I think we could get away with that.
Well, if you read the opening credits today, in the pre-show, I did note the existence of the ABC version of the new version of Match Game. the
Right,
Alec
there is,
Baldwin
that's right.
version. And I've watched it a few times. I don't find it as entertaining as the old version with Gene Rayburn, predominantly because, and this is what's important for our little version of it that I'm going to bring everyone on for in a moment, predominantly because today they say whatever the heck they want to. Back then, they used euphemisms, and they really had a stretch for the euphemisms, and the euphemisms are what made people laugh. And here at Mouse Planet, we try to keep it clean. We try to keep the game, relatively, good language here. Let me bring on everybody who's in the green room if they'd like to play. Dave, do you want to play too? If you do, give me a thumbs up, and I'll bring you on the screen.
All right.
And he's looking at the screen, but I'm not. He's giving me a thumbs up. All right, I'm going to bring everybody up on the screen, and I'm going to have Panda be the guesser. He's going to be the one that's going to match.
He's going to be our contestant.
I'm going to bring that on. Let's see. I don't want to accidentally remove somebody. There's Dave and Todd, the other Todd, and Greg Jacobs and Lisa. And how about that? I got 10 people on the screen. Whoa.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Whoa.
That is awesome.
That's the new and improved StreamYard for you. Let me
Here's
take
the story.
Wrong show.
I gotta go this
I
way.
gotta take the dot off of Matt's head. There we go. I got the dot off of Matt's head.
This is awesome.
This is awesome. Very.
So Panda, you are going to be the person that is going to try to match. Now, I told the Mouse Planet people to have paper and pencil handy. Dave or Matt, do either of you have paper and pen handy?
Yeah.
So
I even got the logo.
Matt's got paper and pen handy, and Dave, because you're last, Dave, you can be the other guesser. That's okay. I got Matt now. So Matt and Panda will try to match. Now, I did ask one in the opening, and I didn't see any comments. I asked a question that I did not write down. So I did ask something to the effect of, God, I'm drawing a complete blank. So I'll just go to my notes because that's the easier way to go. So here's a question. Oh, I know. It was the dumb tourist who went park hopping.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's all it took. I said, so the way that the old match game worked and the way that we're going to play this Mouse Planet Live jibe is that you have a blank that needs to be filled in, and you try to fill it in humorously. You're not really going for the right answer. And then in this game, Matt and Dave will try to match. And in the opening, I asked, Timothy the tourist was so dumb.
How
dumb was he?
Awesome, guys, awesome.
Oh, we're that old.
Timothy the tourist is so dumb, he thought park hopping meant he had to blank. So you could have thrown in anything there. I didn't see any comments. I don't know if we were working in the pre-show. We had technical issues today. So here's the one I'm going to ask now.
A different one.
Okay.
And yeah, we're going to deal with one altogether. You're going to get 20 seconds, and I'm actually going to run a video during those 20 seconds so that we get a countdown. We're going to make this as interactive as possible. Folks who are watching at home, and we still have a number of viewers, even though we're up here at the hour mark. You're welcome to fill in the blanks too, and we will share the blanks if they're clean. So here's the first one that I've offered up. Ready?
Yeah.
Did you hear? After all of these years at Disneyland, Disney's lawyers finally got to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. When the park finally reopens, the new safer version will be Mr. Toad's blank ride. Ready? You guys can start answering. I got music. I got everything set.
You got that music? I want that music. That
I don't have
70s.
no, I've got our version of the music.
Mr.
which we are
Toad's.
free to use, and it goes like this. Ready?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
All right, guys. So writers are writing and thinkers are thinking.
Mm. We got a
All
horn.
What did you write, Brett?
All right. So
Oh.
I don't see any
We need to-
commenters commenting. Commenters comment now so that we can see if the matches match. No commenters are playing along. All right, but all of our contestants are ready. And I'm going to ask the question, and I will start with Todd Pickering to fill in the blank. Ready? The question again was, did you hear, after all of these years at Disneyland, Disney's lawyers finally got to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. When the park finally reopens, the new, safer version will be Mr. Toad's blank.
But don't we first need Panda or to give the answer and see how many people he matches?
You are correct. Panda? What's the blank?
I said the politically correct.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
That's
Panda
very
said
good.
politically correct. Dave will get the
Even though
next
it's
one. That way we
two-
can see how
two
many
words.
points he gets.
No, that's good. That's good. That's
All right.
good.
Todd Pickering, what is your standard response?
Well, I just thought it was too scary, so it was Mr. Toad's Miles.
Oh, that's great.
Oh.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
great.
Sorry,
All right.
Panda.
And
Sorry.
Adrian Vincent Phoenix, what do you have?
Socially
Oh,
distant.
socially
Yeah,
distant.
of
I got
course.
a match.
I matched with Dave.
I'm sorry, but I guess I didn't realize I wasn't writing for that one, but I did write that.
Oops.
All right. Matt Roseboom, what do you got?
Miles.
Oh,
Hey,
good one.
yeah,
Chris
absolutely.
Berry, what do you got?
Well, I went with the current theme, and it's this sanitized.
I like that.
They used to have that. They used to
Lisa.
have the slot right here.
Yeah, well,
All right.
you
I
gotta
didn't
bring your
follow the
own.
rules. I don't have paper, but I put it on my phone. I don't know if you can read it. It says leaping.
Leaping. All right.
Sleeping rod.
So leaping. Okay, yeah.
You don't get cars in her version. You have to do it yourself.
Greg Jacobs, what do you got?
Well, my first thought was COVID-free, but I went with the milder quiet ride.
Oh. I like quiet.
That would have been wild.
And Todd King, what do you got?
Well, there's a certain wavelength going on because I said
Whoa, we got a
Oh,
match.
wow.
We got a
We
match.
got one match, so Panda scores one. All right.
Well
All
done.
right, so Dave, this question will be for you, and
Okay.
everybody else plays. And I
Okay.
will rewind the video so I can actually start that when we're ready to go. There, the video is rewound,
This
and
is
I
like
will
a
get
dream
my
come true.
next question up. And again, folks at home, you're welcome to play. Although the numbers are dropping, we're having fun. That's what we're doing. We're
I
having
matched.
fun at home.
I matched with Nanette. Thanks, Nanette, for matching with me.
All right.
Nanette Fabre.
I think she was on. She was
She was.
All
She
right.
totally was on.
So this one is aimed a little bit at Disney World, since the last one was Disneyland, and it applies to everyone. Ready? Dave will answer the blank to this question. The Muppets presented great moments in history, but just the American parts back at Magic Kingdom. When the Three-Eyed Aliens present their new show in Toy Story Land, it'll be just the blank parts. Ready?
Just
We
the
got-
Wait,
blank
can you read
part.
that again?
Could you
Yes,
repeat
we'll
that
read it
question,
again.
Yes.
Gene?
When the Three-Eyed Aliens present their new show in Toy Story Land, it will be just the blank parts. Ready?
Ooh, okay.
Keep it clean.
Or just the American
Just
part?
Great moments in history, but just the blank part.
I don't know if I like that, but
Ooh, what did you write? Ooh.
go.
All right. That was 20
Oh.
seconds. We're going to go to Dave. Dave, how did you fill it in? I will read the question again. Let me get the question. Broad part.
Good.
So Dave's answer is the Muppets presented great moments in history, but just the American parts. When the Three-Eyed Aliens present their new show in Toy Story Land, it will be just the clawed parts.
Yeah.
Clawed parts. All right. So let me get Mr. Todd Pickering on the screen. Todd, how did you fill in the Three-Eyed Alien blank?
Well, they're not from this planet, so I put galactic parts.
Just the galactic parts. All right.
Ooh, sorry.
Adrian, what do you got?
Well, I was trying to match the beat of it. So I had great moments in history, but just the terrestrial parts.
Oh, I like that's a
Oh,
That's
Okay.
good.
big word.
Kind
Big,
of thinking. Panda, did you write?
Yes.
What did you pick, Panda?
I picked claw.
all right.
Oh, there's a match. So you've actually helped your opponent by scoring a point for him.
No, I didn't write that. I wrote bam, bam.
wall.
All right, we got Matt. Matt, what did you write?
Well, I was thinking the Muppets are from America, so where are the aliens from? Well,
Mhm.
they're really from Andy's house.
Andy's house.
Oh, makes
Very
sense.
sweet.
Yeah.
All right, Chris Berry, what do you got?
I heard it in my head the second you said their name. The Claw.
Oh, we got 2 points for Dave.
Slot. In the slot.
You need a Kleenex box. Lisa, what do you got?
I went with pizza.
Just the pizza parts. All right.
Pizza Planet.
Oh, Pizza Planet.
I'm with you.
Greg Jacobs, what do you got?
I like club much better than my answer. I just said patriotic.
Oh,
Wow, they acclimated.
Yeah.
Todd
Yeah.
King.
Well, I
Some
was
people
thinking
made them.
with the word parts and toys, I thought
Potato.
Yes.
Cute. 'Cause he's their daddy.
Wow, yeah.
That
makes
is
sense.
awesome.
That's cute.
All right. Well,
That's the
Dave
best
is
one.
winning 2-1. Do you guys want to play one more round?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah,
Sure.
I wrote enough that we can.
I got
we're
Nanette.
We got some comments here. Let's see if any of the comments help us with this.
I got Nanette. Nanette, one more time.
You got
Green parts.
You got Stan Solo chiming in that I should be quicker on the mute button. I don't know if that applies to you, Panda, since you're always on with Stan. All right, let me ask the next one. I will rewind the video recording here so we can have the 20-second countdown.
No, that music.
I don't want to start it yet.
Which one of us is Richard Dawson? I want to know this.
So let's
Wrong show.
since Panda and
Well,
Dave.
he was always a guest.
Dave,
Oh,
Dave
okay.
is winning. Dave is winning 2-1, but we'll have Panda and Dave both right this time since they both have a pad now. And this is for it all. This is for the great sponsored prize brought to you by.
It's
You're out here.
food line. The points mean nothing.
Correct.
You win a
Just
box of
like-
Triscuits.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
An open box.
All
what
right,
flavor?
here we go.
What flavor?
I'll get you an unopened one.
I broke the
Wow.
crayons.
Last question. We're going to go to a Disney classic here. We're going to talk about Cinderella. Ready? We all know Cinderella returned from the ball and lived happily ever after. But when her coachman turned back into mice as the clock struck 12, they blanked. Ready?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Can you read that again?
Oh, all right.
Let me see it.
Oh, I can't show you because I didn't put them onto cards. We all know Cinderella returned from the ball and lived happily ever after. But when her coachman turned back into mice as the clock struck 12, they all blanked.
They all blanked.
All right. I'm going to rewind it to 20. Where's the
I don't know
20?
what to
Back
put
to
down
20.
for this.
All right. So let's start with Mr. Panda because he's not leading. He's got squeaked.
That's what they did.
I was going to say I'll read the entire thing again so we put it in context. When her coachman turned back into mice as the clock struck 12, they all squeaked, says Mr. Panda. John Sicari. Dave, what do you got for the blank?
Nothing good.
Nothing good. All right.
Cheesed.
All right, well, that could get a tie score somewhere out of somebody. I'm going to do it in reverse order this time. They never did that on the match game. That shows that we're different than the match game, right? I'm going to start with Todd King. Todd, what do you got in the blank?
Since the clock rang, I say they chimed in.
Oh, very good.
Very literal.
Pretty good.
All right. Greg, what do you got?
I went a different way. I said they all open theme parks.
Oh, that's good.
That's a mouse.
good.
Yeah.
I'll go to the Gus Gus one.
And let's see. I got to find Lisa on the row here. There's Lisa's button. Lisa, what do you got?
I have a match. I said squeaked.
Yay.
Thank you, Lisa.
That's a tie game now, 2-2.
We might have to have another round.
I only have one more question, but it actually now covers some of the same territory. All right, Chris Berry, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, I said classically they all lived happily ever after, of course.
There you go.
Wow, happy mice, happy mice. Matt, what do you got?
Well, they did what everybody does when something great happens. They went to Disney World.
Oh,
perfect.
You just returned to being a mouse. What are you going to do next? You're going to
I'm going to Disney World.
Yeah. All right. Panda, we got you. I got to go to Adrian next.
Went to Denny's.
I'm sorry. I'm just throwing back to my Rocky Horror days. It was midnight when you went to Denny's.
All right.
Wow, Rocky Horror, sure.
Brett Summers, what do you got?
Well, I thought of both. I only thought of 2 answers, and they were both cheesed and squeaked, but I went with squeaked.
Oh, we have a winner. We have a winner. Congratulations, John. That gets you the solo and a Mike Wazowski moment.
Yay! You're on television.
Hey, Alan,
Imagine that John is on television. That never happens. Ever, doesn't it? Does it? What somebody was talking to me while I was playing.
Yeah,
with John on
you
the
know
screen.
what? Before we lose everybody, I actually had another piece to talk about.
All right, Adrian, over to you.
Well,
what do you got?
Not that anybody cares anymore because everybody's gone home. But
Everybody's gone home and gone to bed.
So this came out on the Shop Disney website this week, and I was so ridiculously excited to see this. They have put out their Halloween shop open this week, and who knows what Halloween's going to look like for everybody. But they put out these costumes, and they've released their first line of adaptive costumes for kids and even potentially for adults. And what's awesome about this is the Incredibles line. So, for those who've been reading Mouse Planet for any period of time, you know that accessibility and adaptation is a big thing in my world. Both because of my husband and also because of the kids that we fostered. And so these costumes, and here's what's special about them. And people, if you're not familiar with this world, let me kind of give you an idea. This costume has a port in it here for a feeding tube.
Wow.
The legs are not
Right.
the legs are roomier for kids who are sitting in wheelchairs. Tight legs can be a real problem for them. It's got, they're a little bit longer, which means that when you're sitting down, you're not getting the whole, your legs have pulled halfway up your calves. It's got these hook and we can't say the V word, closures that go all the way up the back of it. And so it's easier to get on somebody. The gloves, they said, are gusseted here so that they're easier to pull on. I was so impressed by all of this. But what was really, really cool to me were these wheelchair covers. So if I go back a bit, this is huge, and if you've ever used a wheelchair or been with somebody who uses a wheelchair, dressing up a wheelchair for Halloween isn't the easiest thing in the world. This thing is incredible. Sorry for the joke, but it's not meant to be a pun here, but basically there are 2 large panels that attach to the wheelchair with Velcro and with poles and such. So basically it goes on either side of the wheelchair. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, this is awesome. So there's the Incredibles one. They also did, let me see if I can go to the Cinderella one. And I mean, again, this dress has a discreet little vent port here. So for if you've got a kid that has a feeding tube, it's beautifully detailed. It's everything you would expect out of a costume. But they've made some changes to it. These are stunning, but here's the part that I just are they not? Is it not on here? Do I have to go back to another page for this? I may have to go to another page for this. The wheelchair cover for it. They did. Now I'm gonna have to go to another page to find that. Okay, Alan, let me drop out, and I will.
Right, while you're doing that, Adrian, I want to put John back on the screen here.
Yeah.
John, the other reason I invited you today is my extreme jealousy that you've got a good interview coming up this weekend. Why don't you talk about that for a moment?
First of all, by the way, with that whole thing Adrian just showed us, I'm so happy to see them forward thinking like that. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. Even kids, not a feeding tube, but like a Metaport, I think that also would help that whole area.
Oh, that would help with all sorts. In fact, here, before you even do your pitch, I'll put it on screen because Adrian put it up in the feed here. There we go.
Wow.
So that's quite impressive.
That
go ahead and zoom in on that, Adrian.
Cover. Is this thing insane or what?
That is great. For $50?
Yes.
I mean, you thought it would be specialized so that the price tag would be ridiculous.
Well, and the funny thing is my husband and I were talking about this yesterday, and we both said that realistically, had Disney put some insane markup on it, they would have been eviscerated in the community.
Yeah.
They really would have been. These are being made to order As far as I can tell, they're doing a limited production run on them. They're calling them a pre-order. They're going to ship sometime in September. I doubt they're doing a ton of these, but look at how just amazing this is. I mean, can you imagine? And, one thing that I'm not 1,000,000% thrilled about is that if a child is using this, they can't, at least with the Incredibles version, and I'm not 100% certain on the Cinderella one, if they can wheel themselves. I think it's going to depend on the individual wheelchair and where this is set up, where they're going to have to have a quote unquote helper push them. But honestly, this just, as a parent of, kids with special needs, this is huge. And I have many friends whose kids are what, we call tubies. And trying to deal with feeding tubes is not an easy thing. And don't even think about Halloween costumes. And for Disney to have come out with something like this is just huge. So I really wanted to make sure that I got into that I got this in before we lost the show.
Thanks,
so
thanks for coming back on that. Yeah. I'm going to go back to Panda because I'm going to actually now give away what he was going to talk about since we had the graphic here for last week. He's got a great interview coming up on his show this weekend, and I'll have John talk about it now. Go ahead, John.
Tomorrow, myself and Matt Dobrovolsky are going to interview Don Hahn from Howard. He's the producer of Howard. Actually, I'm sorry, director of Howard, but as we all know him, the legendary producer of Beauty and the Beast and all that stuff. But the focus will be on Howard. If you haven't seen it on Disney Plus, take a look. And tomorrow, 7 p.m., he'll be on the BigFatPanda.com to interview him live. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, and he's a heck of a good guy. I've had the opportunity and privilege to talk to him at a couple of events, and you'll have a great interview with him. He's fascinating.
No pressure.
No, and I mean, and the movie he did is fantastic. And our Todd Pickering, Todd, you're still with us, right? Yes, you're on mute. Todd's got a chance to screen it in advance. I got a chance to see it this weekend after it released. It's a fantastic movie and a very moving story.
Roller coaster. Bring tissues.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anybody else got anything else that I have forgotten about or missed, or Mike Wazowski'd out in the middle there, or anything else? I hope people liked the game. That was a fun little diversion, something different to do. I'm going to play the theme song one more time because people were commenting. They're just out of sync with us, and I don't know why that is, because usually we're not that far behind. That's why I chose 20 seconds on the clock. I know that we're sometimes about 10 seconds behind on Facebook, and that's usually the most of it. But folks were commenting after the fact. I appreciate that. If folks want us to do this game again, we will do it again. But I'm going to play the theme music one more time, and then we'll look and see if anybody has any closing words to share. That's not the theme music. I've done that twice today. That's what happens when I put a card in there that... Yeah, you gotta love those music selections in iMovie. That's where that one's from. Anybody else got any closing words? I want to thank our special guests for being with us, Dave and Matt and Panda.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
I want to do the game again. I liked it.
Yeah.
I could play this for hours.
Good, silly fun.
If people want to play the game, we will play the game in future weeks. Our guests who are here are welcome to come back because I can get 10 on the screen at a time, and it's this is the only time I think it makes sense to use 10 on the screen. I think using 10 on the screen for other things is not worth it. But this little game show seemed like a good way to spend the time. Anyway, from Central Florida, from Orlando, Alan Dalinka, from places around the country, including a couple more from Orlando. We'll see everybody real soon. So long. And I got to, I'm saying all this and I got an ending button I got to push. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.